Hey,
Hey Aaron, how you doing, man?
good. I feel like your first minute was misleading people, though.
Well, yeah, it was a little bit of I got to work that out. This is episode number 1. We got to work out the bugs,
I
I
love
think.
it. I think
Yeah.
this is. I love your production quality here. Really good. And I just see that you named me Overlord. Nice.
I don't know if
Really
that was I don't know if that was me.
okay.
What in the heck is going on? What are we doing here?
Well, I think we're about to put me on the spot to configure stuff on the fly with folks.
Yeah. Isn't that what a gift I've given you? There's no net. Like you got to do this tech stuff and just do it live.
I
There's
think
no
don't you have a slogan for us? It's like building stuff and things and securing it.
I think it's build some stuff and secure the things.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think uh, is our tagline. We have the marketing department of Quick and Shaver. Spent some extensive time and market tested that, and here we go.
It really resonated with the dads.
Yeah. So anyway, as a first episode, I think you and I, this is our normal shenanigans that we do in our training sessions, or just as we're talking to each other through the day. But we decided to bring our shenanigans to a bunch of other people and play around with some technology and show people how to build stuff and secure things. Right? Sound like a plan?
Yeah, I like. Do I get to comment here?
Yeah, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like this because we spend so much time talking about like theory crafting around security and product documentation, and it gets real old. And I like to get my hands dirty and make stuff work and then break it. And then other people ask lots of questions. And so I think it's going to be great because people can do some of this themselves later.
I agree. This is sort of put your money where your mouth is, or less talk, more do, more show. Prove it. Cool. Well, you talked about our phenomenal production values. I have our little recurring video that will break up this us chit chatting part with the with the doing the stuff. So here we go. Hang on tight.
Okay.
This
All right,
is our intro video rolls next.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I bet we spent a lot of money on that, didn't we?
$50 to a teenage kid. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can accomplish.
I like it.
Cool. So what are
we talking about today?
I thought you had the topic. What are we going to do today? I think we're going to do some stuff with WireGuard, I think.
We are going to do stuff with WireGuard.
Yeah.
So I really like WireGuard. So today we're going to build a WireGuard server, and we're going to build a WireGuard client on an ARM chipset on a NanoPi, and we're going to connect the two together and do a little performance testing and some other things on it.
I don't think you can do that in 20 more minutes. I defy you to do that in 20 minutes.
It's pretty fast.
Okay.
So, should we talk about what WireGuard is?
Yeah, I think we should.
I think that's one of our things that we want to make sure that we focus on, is that we're actually talking about why this is important. There's plenty of tutorials if you want to look at how to build WireGuard. We'll show you a little bit, but I think why WireGuard is pretty important to me. So I like WireGuard, and I'd love to hear why you like WireGuard. One is it's a lot easier to set up than IPsec. It's a lot more secure in many ways than IPsec and definitely SSL VPN. I like it because we don't pay a high performance penalty with it. It we're able to maintain a lot of throughput with fairly low CPU overhead, and it works on every imaginable platform. So we've got clients for Android, for iPhone, for Mac, for Linux, for Windows, for ARM and AMD Intel platforms. There's a few other emerging as well. But the other thing that I think it's important for all of us as security professionals, why we should know about WireGuard is because it's becoming the de facto standard for encrypting OT and IoT devices in software. So that'll be important.
Yeah, I mean, you hit a lot of mine. I think, being a cyber guy, we're both cyber guys, but a lot of vulnerabilities, a lot of attacks. When you think about a lot of in 2020, there were so many of these ransomware attacks against companies, and there are a lot of causes to that, but it's amazing how much a VPN, I think about a third, I don't have the great numbers in front of me, but I think about a third of attacks were people attacking different VPN platforms and getting into networks through poorly secured VPN and attacking from there. So
that's one of the foundations of zero trust is that, and you'll hear us use these terms underlay and overlay networks, is that our underlay networks, even inside of our data centers or our enterprise networks or our WAN, we treat them with the same level of distrust as the internet. And so I'm a big fan of building these overlay networks, and WireGuard is one way to build an overlay network. And what's unique about WireGuard is that it's built to be a peer-to-peer VPN. So we can build it without sending all of our traffic through a server or a VPN concentrator. And we're able to allow hosts to actually orchestrate VPN tunnels amongst themselves.
that's a lot of cool words. Why don't you build something?
Okay, I'm going to build something. So I'm going to share my screen. I think that'd be helpful. Okay.
Overlord joined.
I trust that you can see my screen now.
You can when I put it on the stream.
There we go. So I've got a WireGuard server that I'm building here in GCP. And
Google Cloud Platform, it looks like to me.
Yeah, it is Google Cloud Platform. And it's a pretty basic VM. I'm running Ubuntu 20.04 on a VM with 2 vCPUs and 2 gigs of RAM and 10 gigs of storage. And I've got a VNet built. If you guys aren't familiar with GCP, we'll probably do a different little tutorial on that at some point. But I have a VNet built, and really what we're looking at here is we only have one port open for WireGuard VPN, and we're allowing it from all IP addresses right now because we're building and we've chosen port 51820, which is the default WireGuard port, but you can run it on any UDP port. In fact, we've been fiddling around with masking WireGuard traffic as real-time streaming protocol, as DNS traffic. There's a whole bunch of cool, fun stuff that you can do with it. But
now you're using GCP, and I know about your great love of the Google Cloud Platform, but this isn't like proprietary to that. We could build this on an Amazon AWS server instance, or
good.
We could do this in Azure, right? We can do this anywhere.
You can do it on Windows. You can do it really on anything you want. I prefer to do it on Ubuntu because I like Ubuntu, and I'm doing it on Google because I like GCP. And it runs on a lot of different platforms, but you can use you can use Windows as your server. You can use Windows as your client. These things that we're going to do here will work on the WireGuard client on your Android phone. I love it on Android and iOS because if you want to secure your mobile devices, the roaming between your LTE network and your Wi-Fi network that your phone attaches to is muy bueno. Usually we can fail over in less than a second between those links. So I've got a Nano Pi, and if you're not familiar with those, these just are very low cost. I've got 2 of them here, just little guys like this, and we like them. These are the same chipset, but one's in like a hardened case and one's in a little cheaper case here. And these guys happen to be 2-core, 2 gigahertz ARM processor and a gig of RAM, which is kind of fun. But I also have like a bigger version of it here that is Nano Pi R4S. That was an R2S, and this guy is still 2 cores, but it's 4 gigs of RAM too, so we can do a lot with that. But
So these are like Raspberry Pis that a lot of people are real familiar with, but the big difference,
steroids a little bit.
Yeah, the Raspberry Pis only have one Ethernet port on them, right?
Yeah, so this allows me to do some other magical things that we won't get into today, but we will at some point, about how to do stretch VXLANs across them and other magical goodness. So let's go ahead and set up and install the server. So I'm running Ubuntu 2004, and I've already done an apt update, upgrade, and I've installed a couple of net tools on it. But I'm going to take you from the point of installing WireGuard here, which is pretty easy. So we're just going to install the WireGuard package.
And you didn't have to add any for folks that know Linux, you didn't have to add any special repository or anything. It's a mainstream package, right?
It's part of the main branches. You don't have to add any special repository. And in fact, in some kernels, the WireGuard's included now. So then what we're going to do here is, so we have the WG command. So you can see here that WireGuard's our new command. I'm going to do this as a super user, but we're going to generate a public and private key now, because this is all about WireGuard uses asymmetric keys, so public and private keys, and it does it bidirectionally. So the client, both clients, in this case, the client and the server, both have the keys that we're going to run. And you can see here that when I ran this, it generated the private key to this location.
Hey, can you do me a favor, Aaron?
Yeah.
Down at the bottom of your screen where it says share.
Hang on, I got to go back. Yep.
Click the little caret. And do you see share in 1080?
I don't have that anywhere.
The little
stop sharing. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just a little fuzzy.
I can work on that for next time.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. I don't think I can zoom in on these either. So we can post these commands. All right. So I've generated my public key, which is right here, and I'm gonna copy that and throw it into a spreadsheet. So I have my public key for my server. And you guys can't see that screen. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run another command so that it will show me what my private key is. You can see right here, I'm telling it to just concatenate my private key, and you can see that guy showed up there as well. So I'm going to take that and copy it and save that as my private key.
And that's your private key for the server, you said?
That's the server side private key. Yep. So the server's the only one that's going to know its private key. Will share its public key with all the clients, and it will use that private key to decrypt the traffic that's being sent to it. We will share its public key with all the clients, and the clients will use its public key to encrypt the traffic they send to the server. The server will then use the private key to decrypt it.
It feels like a good thing. The screen's fuzzy. If like you wouldn't want to be sharing your server private key on the internet with people normally, right?
That is correct. But I am also going to pooch all of this as soon as we're done. So
good plan.
All right, so what we're going to do next is use that key information, and I'm going to populate it into a little template here. But we're going to create a config file that sets up the relationship between the client and the server. And it's pretty straightforward. Let me do that here. I don't know if you want to tell a funny story while I do this, Brian.
Oh, I don't know any funny stories.
You don't have any funny stories? Usually you're like on the ball for a dad joke.
Well, here's my funny personal story, which was that has nothing to do with any of this, but it's in the dad joke category. It's dad joke related. I was driving with the family over the weekend to church, actually, and my wife looks at me like I'm crazy and says, "Can't you hear that? Can I hear what?" The brakes, they squeal every time, and everybody's looking at me. And I know I can't hear the brakes squealing. Like, that's when you know. That's when you're, yeah.
Time for you to get your hearing aids installed. Okay, so thank you for buying me time there. So I've got my config ready, and I'm gonna edit this config file here, which is a new file, so it'll create it. And I'm gonna put in a really simple configuration. And there's a couple different pieces that we can use, but really we're just creating a private key and my private interface here on my WireGuard server. And so I'm going to exit out of this now, and I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to do the install on the NanoPi side of things as well. So now we've got to do the same install over here, and we'll set up the client real quick.
So that looks like a sudo apt install WireGuard.
Yep, it's a pretty simple setup. And it's about the same. Like, this is really lightweight. I don't know what it was at, like about just over a meg and a half of client side. So that's pretty good. So now we're going to generate our keys. So now we have our public key, which I'll save. And we're going to grab our private key. So I've got that guy now. And I'm going to save that. And now I'm going to load a config for the client side as well. And this one's going to be a little bit different than what was on the server side of things.
Kevin Ricard, you can get CPEs for this. I'll get in contact with the Data Assurance Institute of America and have them generate some artisanal keys.
Artisanal keys for you.
Yeah, CPEs.
All right, so I'm gonna do a little editing on the screen here so that they can see what we're doing. But here is the config that we use on the client side, and we can post examples of this for folks as well. So we're going to nano that config file again. And you can see it's blank. We're creating it from scratch. And I'm going to grab my config that I created over here. So this is a little different. This is the private key of the client that we have.
So that's your little NanoPi on the left.
Yep. And it's IP address that I want it to have on the network. So if we go back into this one over here, we created the server as 172.16.0.1. We're going to be 101 for the first client. And I have the public key of the server in the peer that it's making. And here I'm going to tell it the endpoint that I want it to connect to. So I'm going to go grab the public IP address of the server inside of GCP. We'll get that in a second here. And then you can see I'm telling it what networks to allow. And so if I make this 0.0.0.0/0, it's going to be a full tunnel and send everything.
Everything coming out of your client will go through this VPN server.
And so right now we're doing split tunnel. When we do it, in a lot of cases, we're doing full tunnel mode. And that way you can make sure that all your traffic from your mobile device or your laptop is running through your enterprise security or through your firewall or wherever you want to route that to. All right, so let's put in the IP here. So this is going to be our public IP. So that's cool. So you can see here, we have the local credentials. We have the peer. We're going to add the peer on the server side, but we're going to do it via command line. And then we'll see if this works or if I messed it all up. Let's save that. Yep.
I have a crowd booing sound effect ready. If
yeah, I'm sure you do. All right, so now what I'm going to do is actually, you guys need to make sure you do this because that private key is in the config file. We're making sure that we change the permissions on it so that only root can read that key. And then we're going to turn up our interface, our WireGuard interface on each side. Why did that not happen?
Uh-oh.
What did I mess up on that? That's a first for me. Oh, you know what I got to do?
No, I don't know what you got to do. What do you got to do?
I did already sudo that. Okay, well, we may have to troubleshoot that for a minute. Let me turn up the server side. Okay, you can see that guy came online fine. And then we're going to set it to run as a service so that it adds that interface each time. And then we're going to add our client to the server. And so I need the public key of the client. And then we just issue a command at the command line and it will add that peer. So we have, we're telling it to use the WireGuard interface and set it on WG0 and add this peer. And it's going to have an allowed IP address that is the client that we set. So now, if we look, you can see we have our WireGuard interface up on the server. And we have our peer relationship there, and this is my problem. That's what I got to fix there, because I didn't ever set the correct port number on the server. Yep, let me do that.
So there are other VPN technology. I mean, we talked about some of the security differences, but there are other VPN technologies in Linux or open source. So there's like OpenVPN and stuff like this. How does this compare to setting up OpenVPN in your extensive experience?
Well, for me, this is a lot easier than setting up OpenVPN, especially because it does a really nice job at NAT traversal. And so that makes it way easier because, you know, you and I have both run this through quite a few different firewalls. and the it does a super nice job at poking holes out through firewalls, through, if you're at Wendy's or wherever you're at, of being able to find its way to the other clients. And so I think that's one of the big selling points for me. But obviously, I'm screwing up the interface here a little bit. So let me look at my config again. I don't know. What about in your experience? What's the big diff for you?
Yeah, I mean, your Jedi Knight skills on Linux far exceed mine, but I've tried like years ago to do OpenVPN, and I'm big enough to admit that I don't think I ever succeeded. Like, there's a lot of complexity. Like you said, there's a lot of, you got to get all the firewall rules just right between here and there. And as we played with it, despite, some of these, whatever config challenge you're facing here,
I'm almost there. I'm almost back with the right config.
yeah, it just works when you've got it's a little short config on both sides, and it just works.
Yep.
The keeping track is, I've done this where I get messed up keeping track. There are 4 keys to keep track of. Your server's got a private key that only it knows, and a public key that gives out to the clients, and the clients have a private key that only they know, and a public key that you got to get to the server. So there's a little bit of, for folks, it's not super simple, at least at the level of, well, I got to get those keys back and forth. If you had to deploy thousands of these, you'd have to come up with a system of moving the keys around. But
that's something that I think is being established in a lot of organizations.
Yeah.
Or a lot of developers are trying to build orchestration tools for this, but that is yet to come. So
right.
I think it's the manual configurations right now that probably detract people from this. But
I've done it both ways, by the way. I built it by hand, artisanal. Which way do I say that?
I think artisanal's right.
Artisanal. I built it artisanal by hand, my WireGuard connections, but there's also this package called Pi VPN. Have you seen that?
I have not messed with that yet.
Yeah, there's a website, Pi VPN. I mean, if you Google search that, where they have a little script you run, and it sets up a whole, like, I will generate all of the keys for you. I will create a client for you. It's just a command line option, including, like, if you want to have an iPhone client or an Android client, it'll generate a little QR code that you can just,
you can scan the QR code.
You can scan the QR code, and that sets up your client through the app, actually. So I've cheated a little bit. I've used that before too, to set it up, and it's kind of stupid easy.
Well, I think I have a key issue here, and that's why it's failing. So I didn't successfully do it in 30 minutes. So I'll have to practice that a little bit.
Oh.
You're the worst. You're the worst.
I feel like that's going to happen occasionally with us, that we're going to have some sad trombone. It's like, no net. Will they succeed or will they fail? I think we can be honest. We kind of succeeded in talking about some stuff, but I don't think we succeeded in building some stuff today.
I don't think we did succeed in building it either. Now, what I could have done is just run my shell script that builds it all, but that wouldn't be very educational. So
yeah, could have run your Pi VPN script like I do.
I'm just shocked he got out of Nano. Yeah, but the Nano Pis are great. I love those things.
Yeah, they are pretty cool. Well, and we've been running, they just run Ubuntu. Yeah, that Armbian, fun fact, and because we'll be showing this later on some other projects, that it's just, there's a Ubuntu distribution, Armbian, that it's just plain old.
It's just good. It's just yummy goodness.
Yeah. Yep. So
Can you do it like a cooking show and just have the finished product at the end? Yes. Yes, we can. But I think the point was to see me screw up building WireGuard on the spot. I do love it that once you get it up and working, and I think I'm probably like 2 commands away from getting it working. Like that's really all there is to setting it up, is make sure that you have the UDP port open on whatever end is the server, so that it can have communications originated towards it. The NanoPi on my end doesn't need any ports open on the firewall. So because it's going to use the stateful nature of the firewall, and it's going to initiate an outbound UDP call, set up that session, and then the tunnel traffic coming back is going to work. So, but I do really love it for remote access and on mobile devices.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Like what we would call Road Warrior VPN. I've seen like a lot of people, if you don't have, I mean, you could use this in corporate VPN, but just we're living in a world for good security. If you're in that Wendy's or coffee shop, you should probably be over a VPN. And if you're accessing anything, who knows what's on that network with you. And so VPN, getting you into a known trusted network. There are VPN services, but you could set this up. I have one I just set up earlier today. Mine works. But
I have many working WireGuard networks.
I know.
All good.
But yeah, that's all good. Cool. All right. Well, we didn't build some stuff, but next time we get together next week.
What's our next subject that we're going to go through?
I don't know. I'd love to see some recommendations, or I put up somewhere here. I had a topic.
We had a whole list of things.
I had a whole list of topics, and I'm bringing it up if it'll ever load here.
I really want to work on LoRaWAN and Amazon Sidewalk.
Well, if we just go based on what was next on our list, we could do endpoint inventory and security profiling with Wazoo.
Oh, okay.
How do you feel about that?
That's good, but I'm not going to build that one on the fly. And
you don't have to, because I'm going to do it.
Oh, you're going to do it on the fly?
Yeah.
You're going to set it all up ahead of time.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Wazoo, next time. We'll do some security profiling. It's like
Wazoo. Sys benchmarking next time.
Yeah, it's sort of poor man's EDR. So cool.
Okay. Later.
Yep. Talk to you later, man.
All right. Bye.